Do you like balloons?
Do I like balloons? Of all the things I thought you could possibly ask, that is not what. I don't mind them. I don't love blowing a lot of them up.
So like the physical process.
The physical process, yeah, like they're fine. It's just at some point, it's like, the balloon has to die.
Like I would say, like me blowing them up personally, it's like that's not my favorite aspect of balloon. But like in terms of holding a balloon,
The visual, they're fun. They're fun. They make for a nice partyscape. The vibe is fun. I would never get in a hot air balloon though. I can tell you, I would never do that.
I've done that, not for like I didn't go around no world in certain tens of days, but it was more of like an up
in 80
and then down situation.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. So like the balloons themselves, the visual of them is very nice.
What about like the parades with the big like elaborate blows?
Oh, like a Thanksgiving, Macy's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. I like seeing them. Seeing what characters will come down whatever street they go down in New York City.
That long one.
I mean, I don't know if it's Broadway or where. I don't know where they do the parade.
It's not like we can figure that out either. So.
Yeah.
All right. I am Aaron Neuwirth. I am the co-host of Out Now with Aaron and Abe and the editor-in-chief of Wheel of Entertainment. I am a big Godzilla fan.
My name is Terence Johnson. I'm a writer at LenoirTour.net, and I have seen some Godzilla movies.
And together, we are
Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla.
Here we are.
Back for another week.
Episode 5.
Yes.
That's both of us confirming that it's episode 5.
I really had to count it. I had to count it in my mind. Yes.
It's weird because we have one banked, but also we took a break from both like new Godzilla movies as well as Godzilla himself for basically 2 weeks in a row.
That's true.
So now we're back with our first like Godzilla movie again. That's like a new Godzilla movie.
Yeah, new Godzilla.
Which is kind of matches with the tone at the time because Raids Again is the last you see of new Godzilla for a good while. Like the King Kong versus Godzilla doesn't arrive till 1962.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like a legacy sequel, but it is like it wasn't like a year, like it's going to become a yearly thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't that for a good long
6 years,
while.
6 years between sort of massive franchise movies is a long time.
Yeah. Let alone with the King of the Monsters, so to speak. We're just not doing anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. We're talking about King Kong versus Godzilla, directed by Ishiro Honda. Basically all the crew's back together again. Got all this special effects supervisor. We got pretty sure we have Akira Ifukube on the
Kenji as an actor.
We have Kenji as an actor, and yeah, this is a fun one to get into because I mean we'll talk about the movie in a second, but before we even get into the movie, let's go over some business.
Yes,
over here we have this episode 5. We're having a good time doing this show. People seem to be enjoying it.
They do.
I believe we have more iTunes reviews.
We do. This first one from Tyler Wonka says, "Great podcast from true experts. I've been a big fan of Out Now for years, and this new podcast is the excuse I needed to break out that Showa era Criterion box set and watch along with them. Keep up the great work, guys."
Thank you, Tyler.
And then we have one from Brandon T. Peters that says, "This is an essential companion for Godzilla movies. I was quite hyped for this show, and it has not disappointed. In addition to fandom admiration meets welcoming and sincere discovery between Aaron and Terence, the show is full of astute film criticism and a film kaiju education of the movie's characters, series creators, and world during every era. Now, Brandon, I want to thank you so much for this review and to let you know that the next time you leave a review, I have one R in my name. Not 2. 2 would actually be my roommate, whose name is Terence, and he spells his with 2 R's. So, but yes, thank you for the sentiment. We appreciate it, and thanks, folks, for tuning in and listening and reviewing the show.
The thoughts are very much appreciated. It's funny, like it's nice to think that there are people that are literally like watching the movies in order to keep up with our show.
Yeah,
like that's pretty cool. I was playing disc golf today. I've casually told some of the people about the show, and some of them came out just like, "Hey, we started watching the Godzilla movies so we could keep up with the podcast."
Oh,
like
that's
this is actually really fun.
I'm glad.
It's getting people inspired to just check out these movies. I mean, you can listen to us bullshit about it. That's fun too. But like, just getting people to watch more of these movies, it's like that's really neat.
Yes, this was your you had an evil plan. You inceptioned me into wanting to do this, and just so that you could get more people,
just inspire more people to watch.
Yeah, more people to watch Godzilla.
But no, it's certainly fun to it's nice to get iTunes reviews and things. It's cool to know that we're having an effect. And please be sure to do those things and pop us up on the charts and all that. Go to iTunes, go to Spotify, everywhere you can review the show. Please do
share it on social.
And again, if you have questions or anything like that nature, we're on all the socials and everything. We're happy to collect any questions and answer on this show, whatnot. Any kind of response would be great to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to King Kong versus Godzilla.
The great Godzilla, blazing a trail of terror to his Japanese homeland. Roaring defiance to the only enemy on Earth strong enough to challenge him. The unconquerable King Kong, giant gorilla god of this South Seas paradise, where sensuous maidens offer themselves in ritual sacrifice to his brute embrace.
Godzilla has a brain about this size. He is sheer brute force. While Kong is a thinking animal. His brain is considerably larger. About 10 times the size of this gorilla's skull. Being instinctive rivals, there is no doubt that they will attempt to destroy one another.
King Kong versus Godzilla, heading for their colossal collision, shattering every obstacle that stands between them in the most fantastic rampage of annihilation ever recorded on film.
So this movie was the concept of this was in development for a while, and initially the idea was they wanted to make King Kong versus Frankenstein.
Yeah,
there's this weird obsession that Japan seemed to have of like, we got to get Frankenstein. That's the one we need. We need to make a Frankenstein movie, and we'll get back to that soon enough.
Yes,
Frankenstein there will be.
Because I've seen the titles of
there will be a variety of
at.
Frankenstein-themed movies in this universe that we will get to eventually.
Which is wild, yeah.
But they didn't want to use Godzilla in this. They wanted to do King Kong versus Frankenstein, which amuses me mainly because it's... Wait, so you want to take this giant ape and be like, we'll get a giant version of Frankenstein's monsters? Like, yeah, that just makes sense. Like,
yeah. It's bonkers enough for me to be like, maybe that could work.
I mean,
maybe like it's crazy enough, but yeah,
they eventually basically do it just in a different way. So
messy.
And I mean, like it kind of like eventually the Godzilla thing comes to mind. They just scrap the kind of like they're going to do King Kong versus Frankenstein in San Francisco. And they had all script and everything,
my hometown,
and it just didn't happen. So they scrapped the ideas. The weird residual remainder is the fact they still have King Kong, who like. Since he's not fighting Frankenstein, they just give King Kong electricity powers in this movie, which is just that's basically Frankenstein's thing, and they just gave it to King Kong. Is like that's the way to help him out in the battle against Godzilla. We'll just make him be he becomes more powerful when he gets hit by lightning.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. That would be a carryover thing.
So all right, so let's get into King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yes.
So the plot of this movie, as described by IMDb, what's the shortest one I can read?
Oh my goodness! Do you want the letterbox version?
I have one here. I got a UN reporter covers the appearance of a prehistoric monster that emerges from hibernation, while a pharmaceutical company seeks publicity with a monster of their own.
That sounds like the U.S. version. This sounds like the Japanese one. The advertising director of Pacific Pharmaceuticals, frustrated with the low ratings of their sponsored TV program, seeks a more sensationalist approach. He orders his staff to Faroe Island to capture King Kong for exploitation. As Godzilla reemerges, a media frenzy generates, with Pacific looking to capitalize off the ultimate battle.
Yeah, no, that's a more that's a better version, and that's something key right there. We're not going to do two different episodes like this as opposed to Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters, but there is a significant change with the American release of this film, which basically eliminates most of what Terence just talked about as far as the plotting of this movie goes, which, yes, has this kind of heavy satirical element involving a TV studio, which I think makes this movie funnier to watch and more intentionally funny to watch, regardless of how much you laughed or entertained by that aspect of the film. The American version cuts all that stuff out, so the goofiness feels more, not necessarily unintentional, but certainly like it doesn't have much to support it. It just feels like it's just randomly goofy, I guess.
Yeah.
Where this movie is very goofy, very purposefully, and has something there to kind of back that up.
Yes. This movie is in a weird middle ground for me.
Yeah, I want to hear what you think about this movie.
In that I think that I got the satirical elements, and I wanted them to push it. Like I wrote down, like, this is just as silly as I'd expect from a movie called King Kong versus Godzilla, but it's also not funny enough to like keep hitting those beats. Like you either like I need the movie to like dig in a little, particularly with the human characters, just to dig in a little more. I needed even more garishness from the head of this marketing division. I needed even more sort of like weirdness with the brother and the sister and the boy. Like I just needed it more. It sort of didn't quite. This movie didn't quite hold my attention. But I like it from like the construction of trying to be satirical and then purposefully so. It's like, okay, this guy is like, oh, our program is, not doing well. What can we do? Oh, we can go to this island, and oh, we found out about King Kong. All right, bring him to Japan, and he's going to be our representative. And oh, the other team, the other massive company here has Godzilla. All right, let's make sure that they can fight. And then they fight. It's like, okay, well, let's hope our guy wins. So the satirical, the levels are there. It just, it doesn't push enough for me. It doesn't push enough for me to like have really enjoyed this movie.
I can agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of King Kong vs. Godzilla. I think it's fine. But what I do appreciate is that it's one of the very simple ideas of how to do a versus movie. We get a lot of versus movies where like the complications and choices being made to arrange characters together feel like the most recent and biggest example I can think of obviously is Batman v Superman, where it can't just be Lex Luthor saying, I'm rich and bored, I want to see these guys fight. It's got to be instead, I'm going to devise this elaborate plan that involves Scoot McNairy, pictures, framings, moms, all kinds of things.
Most coincidental, the fact that the mamas are named the same thing.
There's so many things just to get them into the same room with each other.
And
it's like, I feel like Lex could be more efficient than this.
Revealing the Justice League on Windows Media Player, yes.
Where this movie, it's weird that we keep finding ways to dig.
Because that movie was terrible. Well, because we know Warner Brothers is especially going to get their hands on it, and then then we'll have it. It'll be interesting to talk about in terms of from a studio perspective.
But so what I'm saying is, for this movie, I like that it's just like they kind of accidentally find Godzilla, and they're like, we have Kong, and then they're like, well, Godzilla's being a jerk. He'll deal with this. I know. Let's just drag Kong in front of Godzilla and just see what happens. It's so simple as far as what the actual like overall plotting is, beyond just like the human character stuff. It's just like, just put them in front of each other. They'll sort it out. Like that's what it ultimately amounts to. Which I can appreciate that sort of simplicity for a movie like this. That's a little over 90 minutes. It gets that kind of job done. As far as the film, it's like as a whole goes, I wonder if it's Honda trying to find like what works best for this kind of a thing. Like he's not new to movies at this point at all anymore. I'm here or there on how strong his comedic sensibilities are as a filmmaker. I think there are other films coming down the line that have a better. It's less about comedy and more about like the situations that set themselves up that you'll see that like I think lead to more inherent humor just by nature of the ridiculousness of what's going on. Where this movie feels more of the goal of this is to put these two things together what can we do to get there?
Yeah,
so it feels a little impersonal on his part.
That's why I said I wish it would have like dug in a little more, or like it honestly could have been a little shorter because I feel like it was so simple, and that is not a bad thing, and the satirical levels are there, and that's also not a bad thing. But it's just kind of like we spend this is one of the I'm trying to make the Bond comparison like I made a couple weeks ago. This is one of those like versions of the Bond movies where I'm just like, okay, we've hit all the beats. You know, you've done the things that you are supposed to do, done the things that you should do, and it's not really elevated. And here, I think we've spent too much time with the humans in ways that's, you know, you've always been like, oh, it's like people in rooms and the military and the press and the this and the that, and you do have that here. And I just felt like some the stuff that I found consequential with the humans is this pharmaceutical company / agency being like, what are we going to do? We're losing our business. Go get this giant monkey, bring him here. Oh, now we're responsible for, which that is the funniest scene in the movie when when the government tells him that he is now 100% that company's 100% responsible for King Kong. But like the other military stuff, the other expedition things, the brother and the sister, this woman constantly needing to be saved or being in dangerous situations or not getting on the train or she can't get off the train, like all of that I think really sort of bogged me down in particular because you're just sort of, you get one battle with Kong and Godzilla and it sort of ends.
Yeah, it's pretty short. Yeah.
And then you're just like, you know that you're going to get another one, you're waiting. And then that one, in terms of like how the fight is structured, like King Kong was just getting beat down.
I believe mollywopped is a term you've used.
Yes, was getting mollywopped for 120 of the 137 minutes. And then he got Deus Ex Machina came and helped him out a little bit for 10 minutes, and then the movie ended. So those elements are all there, and they're like fine, but I do feel like we spent way too much time with the humans in things that weren't meaningful, even or like consequential, even in being inconsequential, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because that, you know, normally when I'm watching these movies, I'm not sitting here kind of to like assess it in the same sort of way as far as like how significant the human stuff is, because it comes down to more of, all right, human stuff, let's see what we do here.
Yeah.
And I'm generally just, you know, pleased without like overwhelmingly reacting to it. But now, since we're doing these in a row, I'm more conscious of which films actually do better jobs with the human stuff than other ones do.
Yeah, I mean, just coming off of Mothra, which we just recently did an episode on, and that is a movie about, you know, like a greedy business person doing shady things. That narrative is tighter, and it's more localized, right? Like this is a sprawling ensemble, in a way that I feel like we haven't seen maybe since Raids again.
But it also feels more impersonal because it's like,
yeah,
it's just business people. Like there's no real melodrama here to an exciting degree.
That's what I said. I think you almost needed that business guy, the main guy who's sort of driving this from the with the glasses,
the mustache.
And the mustache. Like you almost needed him to like up the camp factor in the scenes that he is in, or to be the one that's constantly going around telling everybody, oh, well, Kong is ours. He's going to beat Godzilla down. Right?
Yeah.
Like he is absent from even the final confrontation.
Yeah, he's pretty not there.
He's not there at all.
Yeah.
So it kind of is like you lose that through line in a way that would have made sort of spending that much time with him worth it.
I agree. And I don't want to dive too far ahead, but we had a couple movies coming up that I really like. The fact that I remember the human stuff as well as I do speaks to how much I like the human stuff that's coming up in at least one of these. Next week, I'm trying. No, wait, next week is that movie. Actually, we'll probably have some fun human stuff because it's a Mothra movie, and Mothra movies tend to have fun because Mothra movies are fun because they always have like you need like a good 5 minutes of characters being like, wait, there's two little girls that are wait, what do they do? And then they explain it to you, and they're like, we're not little girls, we're actually like adult women, we just sing and we're small. Like, it's a whole deal. That's just it's part of our bit. But this movie, I mean, by comparison, it I wouldn't even say it grows tiresome. It just grows it grows, like you're saying, you just feel like there's opportunities to do more with what's present, and they're just not taking them. They're not going down those avenues. And the movie's not short enough to justify not making those choices. So you're just like, all right, I'm just kind of waiting to see the thing that's in the title.
Yeah.
But it's a Godzilla movie, meaning you're only going to get so much of it. But by the time you do, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I will say that what I appreciate in terms of the humans' plan.
Sure.
I like that we are building upon different things. We have the Occidental Destroyer in the first one. We have Bury Him in Ice in Raids Again, which is why when they, like, the submarine discovers them, I was like, oh, they just crashed back into this island.
I was waiting for you, because I didn't want to say anything when we watched Raids Again, but I'm glad that you're like, oh yeah, that's right. That's where he was last time we left him. He was buried in ice.
He was buried in ice. And so I like in this one, they were like, okay, up the voltage. We've got more electrical places. We can't, this thing over here doesn't work. Here's like levels 2, 3, and 4 that like their society has now built out these plans, and I appreciated them. And you get to see several of them in this movie. And if it weren't for this, a giant gorilla, they actually would have defeated Godzilla. They actually turned him away, and then here comes Kong.
Could have done enough to keep him around or out of there.
Yeah, biting, and Kong. Yeah, so like I appreciated that. I was like, oh god, and that was just I really did appreciate that they were like, we've got contingencies now for one of these giant creatures, and I'm sure if we watch the next movie, if like Kong would have popped back up, they'd be like, okay, here are the two things that we now have at our disposal to be able to defeat Kong.
We're gonna get to some time stuff as far as like when these movies take place and what precautions are being taken or whatnot. That will be you'll find entertaining. Let's talk about the Kong side of things. Now, classic Kong, of course, is from Skull Island and is basically worshipped by the people there as like basically their deity. And they whenever a white woman crashes on a boat, they offer her up. Because they're probably tired of offering up their own people. It's like, oh, good, thank God, a white woman's here. We can give her Kong. It's a new treat. This movie, we're not on Skull Island specifically. I think part of that is because I know Japan, like they try to get the rights and there's all kinds of business involving trying to get what you don't need to get into. Wikipedia is a good source of information when it comes to all this stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of information that went into the process of just the idea of doing a Kong movie from a Japanese studio. But this movie makes several changes. So it's from like Faroe Island, I believe, instead of Skull Island. There doesn't appear to... Well, no, that's not true because there's a giant octopus in this movie. But there doesn't appear to be like dinosaurs running around here. Yeah. But we do still have tribes people. Terence, what was your reaction to the tribes people on Faroe Island?
I mean, Mothra prepared me.
Yes, it did.
For what I was going to witness. I actually don't... The portrayal of the tribes people is whatever. It was the portrayal of the like former tribes person that was working with our two explorers.
Yes, that
was the problem.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
It's like a Gunga Din type of thing.
Very, very... Like, Jar Jar Binks was the first thing that came to mind. Like, just... Like, what are we doing? At that point. So that was whatever. I mean, I think that, it's definitely... This is a situation where it's like, it is what it is.
I mean, at least because I don't mind Jar Jar. At least Jar Jar is, Ahmed Best playing a character and whatnot. Yeah. Where this is just like, put on the darker makeup, get the accents going,
be silly, be like ridiculous in a way that that I could have done without.
I agree because I was watching it this time and I just like I've seen this movie a good 5 times I think at this point, but like I do remember the tribes being like, well, I see what the idea is here, and I get like if you're making a Toho studio film that has to have an exotic tribe, it's like there are worse ways to go about this than what's actually delivered upon here. So I wasn't too like taken aback by the notion of this, especially since like the islands itself are like Samoan, like they're not Samoan, like Indonesian islands.
Yes,
just kind of like south Pacific, as opposed to something that would be less, I don't know, Asian specific. So it didn't hit me in a certain kind of way where it just feels like, no, yeah, the 60s.
Yeah, we just gonna be wading through blackface for a significant chunk of this, or brown blackface, for lack of a better phrase.
So we have the tribes aspect down. So how about Kong himself? So that Kong obviously is famously stop motion.
Yes,
the original Kong, Son of Kong, Mighty Joe Young, other Harryhausen and other other Cooper creations or what have you. This Kong, of course, is suitmation, much like Godzilla. Both, by the way, this is the first movie for both characters to ever be in color. They've never been in a color film before this film, along with widescreen. It's the first time both characters are on widescreen. That's where we're advancing now. We're out of the 50s, we're into the 60s, and then things are changing for old Godzilla. But so Kong, big suit. What'd you think of this look?
Let's talk about. I asked you during this screening. I said, "Who is this?" Because that is not King Kong. It is, but it isn't. He went over because I'm looking at the Wikipedia and they based on Macau. It's based on a Japanese monkey. A Japanese snow monkey. The face, rather than the original, rather than a gorilla, and so he looked crazy. I was like, what have you done to my King Kong? I honestly, I'm like, maybe I was too mean to Kong versus Godzilla or whatever that first one, a redo that they did. And I look forward to watching that one, in 2075. The Kong of it all, like the facial design of it is insane. In comparison to like the iconic, like what we know, like a gorilla, I guess it makes sense because it's like this is Japan's King Kong, just in the same way the U.S.'s Godzilla looks different than Japan's. It was so jarring when he was first popping up, and in certain moments where I was just like, who is this?
Well, it's because
who is this?
It's also a suit, like it's
yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, yes, like gorilla is obviously like it's an easy comparison, but it's a monster. Like it's not a gorilla specifically. Not like Peter Jackson's King Kong is based on a gorilla very specifically. Like that's a different like story. There's and plus like there's they did the research to kind of study like how would this work if it was more grounded in a certain kind of reality. Where 33 Variant Cooper film, it's a stop motion monster creation that's just supposed to be like a big ape, right?
Yeah,
but it's not really an ape because apes don't eat people for one thing. They're vegetarians. I mean, and they walk upright. Apes don't walk upright. So this thing is like, okay, so what if we did that, but it has to like wear a suit instead of be a different thing. So and it's also as much as it's treated like an event film of sorts, it's not a big budget movie.
Yeah, I mean, and it should be noted that RKO, the studio who had King Kong was like, the face needs to be different.
Yes. Yeah.
But still, who was that? Who is this? It just the design of it was a little silly. I think that I liked bringing in the different elements that have been established in King Kong, like very hilariously, picking the woman out of the train and climbing to a very high point. You do get like some aspects of like, okay, he's a monkey, he sees a rock, he's going to throw it at this thing that he's trying to defeat. But like, I actually wanted there is a sort of missed opportunity here in terms of like a little more monkeyness in the fighting or in the movements or like whatever.
I think the problem is he's as tall as a building, and it's not like there's trees for him to swing on. Like he's not on Skull Island where they have things that match his size. Right,
well, yeah, and also, I mean, if we even think about Peter Jackson's, I guess he's swinging on skyscrapers, but like there's still,
even in Godzilla versus Kong, the legendary film, there's like they use Hong Kong there very effectively as far as it's like a jungle gym of sorts.
So that standpoint, I wish we got a little more, but I will say that
it's very because it's like these movies start to lean more into the wrestling aesthetic as far as having just two things collide against each other and like in big open spaces or what have you. This at least has a little dimension because they're fighting on Mount Fuji, so there's a lot of elevation stuff going on.
Yeah,
because they're basically the end fight is just them going down a mountain,
which I thought was fun. Yeah, and I appreciated. I think the battle with the giant octopus,
is
like incredible.
It is.
I was really just I was like, how did they film this?
It's
cool. I'm sure it feels very much like they filmed they built the miniatures, they filmed an octopus in a space doing a bunch of things, had it move, had different things, and then like brought that to set and like played it on a screen that was behind what all of the rest of the actual human actors were doing, and they sort of blew it up.
Some rear projection work.
Yeah, like really, I thought that was really effective, especially because like the octopus with the eye blinking. I was like, this is, it was reminding me of that starfish from the Suicide Squad, which is one of the most disgusting creatures ever put on screen.
Starro.
Starro. Incredible VFX design. So not disgusting in terms of like but just disgusting. But yeah, I love like an octopus is such a cool thing to use for a movie, especially when you're like in the 60s, you're like, well, yeah, let's use on a real octopus because it has such a unique design and it moves in such a specific way. And I do like that it's frankly surprising that it appears in this thing. It's called King Kong vs. Godzilla. We're doing a lot of stuff. Yeah,
I'm not expecting to be like, oh yeah, let's have a monster fight with an octopus before we get to anything else. And it's I'm not gonna say it's scary, but like it has an effect.
Oh no, it was. I was like, here we battling a giant slug, and I was like, and then you were like, no, that's not a slug, and then I was like, okay, it's an octopus, but it is scary.
It's like weird. It's like weird and different. It's not shaped like it's not arms and legs, right?
Octopi. It's just all like, it's the 8 arms. It's the tentacle. It's the tentacle.
It's
nature.
Ooziness.
Yeah, like they can shift into different spaces. They're so intelligent, just like in creatures in general.
Like the Blob is 58, so we're like in the and we're still we're in sci-fi atomic age type stuff. So it's like, what is this thing? Where's this coming from now?
Yeah, and that it's sort of like you mentioned, sort of not expecting another thing in the King Kong versus Godzilla battle.
Okay, so we talked about King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Who is she? And
yes, who was that? Went to Japan and got a whole new face.
So Godzilla's back.
Yes,
and angry. You get locked up in an ice cave. You probably a little angry after that.
And I was over it.
So
I should say I was over the roaring.
So Godzilla's in this movie a bit more, towards the end or whatnot. This is very much a King Kong movie. It's a tends to be when King Kong's involved, because King Kong has more character by default, just because it can kind of emote in different ways.
A little more emotional.
Although the more we see Godzilla, as you'll see in the Showa era, the more you'll get to see more personality come out of it, especially once it becomes less of a villain per se, more of a God, just helping.
Yeah,
there's other things that are bigger threats. But so we get Godzilla. So you're saying the amount of roaring,
God, every 2 seconds. I was happy to see Godzilla. I appreciated Godzilla being in sort of original movie form of like, I'm just here to mess stuff up for no good reason.
Here's an impossible question to ask you.
But the roaring.
So this is the first time, like I said, it's in color.
Yeah.
So Godzilla is notably green, or at least a darker shade of green. I guess I can't ask you, would you assume that Godzilla was green? Because I feel like anyone's perception would naturally be yes, because pop culture has told us that it's green.
Honestly, I think I would think that Godzilla is a black,
like a charcoal.
Yeah, blackish gray, maybe. If we didn't know that he has sort of a greenish hue.
I'm asking this because there was no intention when they made the first one. It was black gray kind of.
Mhm.
It wasn't green, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's the American redub version's poster. That's the first instance of them saying, "Yeah, it's green."
Yeah, which I think is fascinating, and I appreciate because I have stated how I feel about this, and I will state it again once we get to the legendary Godzillas.
Uh-huh.
How and this was one of my biggest complaints about Brave, the animated Pixar movie.
Go on.
That like the Brave, the climax of Brave comes down to two black bears fighting at nighttime for a movie that was in 3D. I was like, what are we doing here? And so at least here it's like, okay, like we can, he's a supernatural creature. We can give him some color. We can give him some dimension. And I think that's fine. And I probably appreciate it more. And obviously this is the first one. We're in color and we're widescreen. So they're like, we got to start to flesh some of these things out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not afraid to give Godzilla some color in a way that I think sometimes when people do like massive movie creatures, they don't
apply a sort of
they're just like,
visual
okay,
choice that makes it
giant
feel...
creature that's a black monster, and it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with the color black, but like nighttime fight scenes in the dark.
Well, Godzilla was here to say green is the new black.
Yeah, so it gets, but yeah, I think I don't mind the color.
Okay, so we talked about Godzilla. So I guess we can talk about them fighting. We can take a couple bouts. First bout's not even really a bout. It's more of like he throws a few rocks, Godzilla breathes some fire, and it's like, get out of here. Anyways.
Yeah, King Kong. That was not a great showing.
Like this fight doesn't have a definitive end as far as like one's declared a winner because there's no referee in the middle to say this happened. However, like as much as King Kong gets his shots in the second half of the fight, or second, I don't even know about half, but the final bit of the fight. If I was scoring the fight, I feel like Godzilla takes this. I think.
Oh, absolutely,
easily.
He won 3 of the 4 rounds.
That's fair to say. Yes.
And in a way where I kind of was like, man, like y'all paired up these 2 movie monsters to do this.
It's King of the Monsters.
I know, but like you essentially paid for the rights to use this other character. You brought these 2 gargantuan creatures together, and it's like it doesn't even get competitive until
he's an underdog.
It's not even an underdog. He's not even worth the underdog title. It just is not. It's not compelling.
I think it's compelling.
I enjoy. Like, is it funny to see Godzilla, sort of thump him with the tail?
Yes.
And feel like at some point something is going to come into play with the tail, where he like gets him and sort of throws him. Where Kong gets him and throws him. It's like, and I don't mind I think it's weird to have King Kong have electrical powers, but I don't mind.
I don't mind it. I agree that it's weird, and it helps to know the understanding with it's like we need a way to power this thing up so it can feasibly take on Godzilla.
Well,
what do we do? We should shift our story point involving Frankenstein.
That's why I was like, I wish there was a little more monkey acrobatics, because like if you have somebody in a suit, can he dodge and weave? Can we get some flips? And that's the limitations of a movie like this with the budget it has and the studio they're working with. Toho's not going to make a jungle gym for him to fight it. Godzilla, Godzilla jump kicked him at one point in this battle. So like that but I'm talking about things like,
I know what you're saying. I guess things they're also just more used to
Godzilla. Like bring it. I think this might have been a great place to like bring, if we're talking about like, oh, this is influenced by wrestling,
bring in choreographers,
bring in some more martial arts. To let Kong, but like Kong, he did get a not a second wind, but more like a 20th wind. Well, we've got the photo that we took in front of the screen where he was making him eat his vegetables by shoving that tree in his mouth, which was hilarious. And then they both go to fight near the castle. And rather than go around the castle and fight each other, they decide to fight. They decide to destroy the castle to get to each other. And so that was really something. And then we sort of end this movie with Kong like swimming away and Godzilla somewhere under the water.
I mean, as far as the fight goes, and I agree with you about the idea of bringing it. Like, I'm trying to think of it. 62. That's not to say there's not like martial arts around. Like, obviously there are, and there's early like wuxia movies, and obviously there's like samurai folk. Like, the notion of like what can we incorporate, like in terms of what's going on at the time? It is wrestling.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it limits the kinds of moves we can do in a film like this. Although, again, giant suits, you do have certain limitations.
Yeah,
but I do think that there is I don't want to say missed opportunity because I just don't know what like they were capable of. But yes, if you build in more stuff for King Kong to kind of do that can like make him more
like that's what I'm saying. Like, can he be a little quicker than Godzilla? Can he like duck and dodge and weave? Can he hurls the rocks? Maybe there was something interesting to do with that.
If I had to guess, I think there's an excitement that they had of like getting to work with Godzilla again, specifically because they love Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And Kong is just more of a, it's a notable character, but it's also just like, it's a guy in a suit with 2 arms and 2 legs. Where Godzilla's like, look, we got our king of the monsters. It's got our tail. It can breathe. It has a heat ray. It has these claw hands. It can do all like there's a lot of variety that it can like play around with. That I think they're just frankly just excited to play with. Where Kong, they're more about the uprise of power in the final act of the fight, as opposed to consistent ways to make the ape aspect of Kong like play out in a way. Which again, when we get to Godzilla vs. Kong, I mean, they find a lot of ways to like utilize what it is to have a giant ape versus a giant dragon monster.
Yeah, in some interesting ways. So it will be, that's why we're doing this series. It'll be interesting when we finally get there. To like really look at that.
In terms of this, because it'll be interesting because we're going to do a lot of. I mean, from now on, it's basically just versus movies. Like that's what this series. That's what's
going to be. I'm intrigued. You're
going to see a lot of different kinds of fights.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, we have this one, which is 2 land-based fighters in this. Even though, yes, Godzilla can't... yes. I understand that Godzilla spends a lot of time in the sea. But, like, next on our docket, you said is Godzilla versus Mothra. And that is, like, Mothra up in the air. So... I'm intrigued to see what we will have in store. And then, obviously we've seen the Mothra movie, so Mothra has like a standing within Japan at the time, but it's like different than King Kong, which is like an OG American monster.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where because it's such a it's a legendary movie at that point. King Kong, like it's you say King Kong and it's synonymous with the thing. Mothra, yes, is a more recent character, and it'll be interesting to talk about that when we get to that, because it's a matter of I don't have like today comparisons offhand I can make it to, but like you're thinking we're in a current era where like Minecraft is making a shit ton of money because people younger people play Minecraft and want to see that movie. Watching a movie like this where we're watching a multiple decade old character take on a fairly new but very significant monster, it's like that's neat. Then next week we're going to talk about the one of the more popular new monsters, Mothra, is taking on Godzilla. Like it's cool. If I was a youngster during this time, I'd be excited by the notion of being like, Godzilla's fighting this is neat. I like this is cool stuff, and it's fun. We're talking about this now, and it's funny to like when I was getting into this, I not knowing the order originally when I was like first getting into this stuff, it didn't occur to me to be like, oh, King Kong's is like right away. That's not like that feels like it feels like a final boss type thing. Like you work your way up to a King Kong. You don't be like, when does Godzilla fight King Kong? The 3rd movie. Like what? you don't work your way up to King Kong. You're just like you're just like, no. What are we waiting around for? Let's do it. Let's get King Kong in here.
Yeah, especially and then being like, we haven't made the Godzilla in a few years, so like,
we're gonna return. We're gonna bring Godzilla back, and not only bringing him back, he's gonna fight King Kong.
It's definitely quite a decision.
I mentioned that they're fighting on Mount Fuji, and so they're just kind of like falling down the mountain as they're fighting each other. I do like the final bit where they just knock each other into the ocean.
Yeah.
That's always I always like that kind of stuff, especially when it's like giant monsters.
Yeah, because you were talking about the poor people who are on them seaside hotels.
Yeah.
They get hit with an earthquake and a tsunami.
What happened?
At the same time. Yeah.
Two monsters fell off a cliff.
Wild. Imagine being on your balcony and seeing that.
I guess we had better get inside.
That is something I wish we would have seen. That would have been an interesting, moment. But yeah, it's
I know there's a lot of discussion. I think there's not alternate endings, but I think there's been a lot of discussion. I think there's a lot of
who won
Mandela effect thoughts on how this movie ends based on what people think they originally, because these movies just weren't available for a while after you can see them again. So I believe there's a lot of people that thought that there were two different endings. I think that's a thing.
Yeah.
That people thought that the American version had a King Kong win, definitive wins version, and the Japanese had a Godzilla Toho wins version. Yeah.
Themselves says that King Kong won that fight.
I mean, you see him swim off into the sunset.
They because they were like, King Kong was obviously Godzilla very big at the time, but King Kong much more established.
And it's called King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, and they were like, and Godzilla is still the villain.
Yeah, he's still essentially a villain character.
They were like, King Kong won the fight.
I think it's less about winning the fight as far as who did the best in the actual battle, and more King Kong didn't die in the fight. King Kong swims away somewhat heroically. He's going back to his island. He doesn't need this. He's going his own direction. Godzilla didn't die because he's poor thing. He's an aquatic monster. So throwing him into the ocean's oh no, that stopped.
And you hear his roar at the end of the movie.
You hear both of their roars. You hear his roar, then you hear King Kong's roar.
Yes.
God. But I can understand the logic as far as being Godzilla didn't kill the guy, so sure he wins. He escaped.
Yeah.
But as we established, if we're scoring that fight,
yes, I think Godzilla took more rounds.
He's getting the belt.
Definitely,
he's taking the belt home.
Definitely.
What else? I think we established the octopus is a pretty cool highlight. But any other favorite moments?
Just the scene on the boat where the military officers come in and they tell them that the Kong cannot come to Japan, and that the pharmaceutical company is 100% responsible for King Kong. I just thought that was so funny. Especially because King Kong is going to cause a ton of damage at some point in this movie. Is this company going to have to pay for all of that damage? That was all I was thinking in the moment. I just thought that's just pretty funny.
Few things amuse me more in this franchise than the sight of King Kong being roped up by a bunch of helicopters and dragged around on balloons.
In the balloons. Yes.
Oh my god, that always is fun. And then I was very excited about seeing Godzilla versus Kong when that was coming out.
Yeah.
So I was like, how are we gonna? What references are we making? And sure enough, they do have a whole "let's drag him in a bunch of planes" moment. It's so funny.
You just see him floating in there.
I think mainly because one of my favorite movie edits of all time is King Kong, where they knock him out with the sleeping gas, and then dude's standing up and he's like, "We did it, and I'll split it with all of you. Kong, the eighth wonder of the world." Is and I'm sitting there so they're gonna get him back to New York and whip frame, and he's in New York. No explanation. they just got him. They got him back to New York. And so these versus movies go out of their way to be I guess we we tie him up in a balloon. They find some weird logic that's he's impossibly large. How can we transport this thing? We drag him on a ship when he's drugged or something. Whatever, it makes sense. Well, balloons. That worked.
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah. So last week we talked about 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
2 of which you were not too fond of.
2 of which were terrible, yes.
So,
sorry to the Rhodonites and the Varanites, but those are bad movies.
But you also noted, was I doing this to you on purpose to make you feel better about seeing Godzilla again? So now I guess I want the answer. Do you feel better seeing an actual Godzilla movie again?
I do. Although I think Mothra is better than this one.
Okay.
This one is on par with the American edit of Godzilla.
Okay.
In terms of the movies that we have seen and reviewed. Just like I said, it just I almost feel like I was like I needed like drastically less humans and like much more biting in the satire in order for this type of story to work for me. But like there were some, I do think like I said, the octopus attack is among the highlights of
watching these movies. Yeah,
in all the Godzilla movies I have seen,
it's something cool and different. I can agree on that front. To this, and it's unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like this movie well enough. Like, compared to Mothra, I don't know. They're about the same, I guess. Like
that is so rude to Mothra.
Well, it's more because I don't watch Mothra that much. It's also like my constant thing is, what's the bar for these movies? There's Godzilla in it. Sure, okay, and Mothra doesn't have Godzilla in it. So I mean, and I'll be curious because I'm not down. I'm not down on Godzilla or Mothra vs. Godzilla. However, I know a lot of people love that movie, and I'm not as high, but I haven't watched it in a while either. So I'll be curious.
That'll be interesting to see then.
I'll be curious if I have different opinions this time around watching it. Because I liked watching Mothra this time more than I watched it the previous times.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say this movie, still one of the most highly attended Godzilla movies ever. This movie was like, as far as like number of tickets sold, huge. Like people wanted to see this thing. And even in the standings of all Godzilla movies, this is still like, it probably has some competition now with like the the legendary films. But this movie still stands very strong as far as attendance goes. People were excited to see Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's we mentioned this a little bit last week, but just like the idea of two major studios, RKO and Toho at this point in time, even though they're in different countries, but like the idea of two major studios like pooling together their iconic monsters is like, it's just like it's really hard to comprehend because like we just do not get that. Like you will get Sony has the rights to Spider-Man, but they bought those right in the midst of the bankruptcy. So it's like, okay, it's like Sony and Disney partnering on Spider-Man, but it's not like the Fast and the Furious characters showing up in Cars 5, and like that being like, oh, we're gonna get all the racing fans, like this is a pretty big deal. I could see that being like a very iconic moment in time.
I mean, you mentioned like the Bond movies, for example. Like this comes out. This is, I don't want to say a peak for like monster movie cinema, but I mean it kind of is as far as like seeing around this era. You're getting. I mean, America's been putting out Tarantula, all these big movies, and then obviously Toho's been putting out a variety of different kinds of kaiju film. Bond at the time, Bond is starting this year with Dr. No in '62, but when you look at Thunderball, while it's box up like it does fine, but it's still compared to the Daniel Craig movies with inflation, huge. It's by far the biggest. It's just this like crazy number that like can't be matched. Now again, granted, the Daniel Craig ones, the last couple did $1 billion.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing to sneeze at either. But in terms of like tickets sold and just like fever pitch anticipation, that fourth Bond movie, like it was just like Goldfinger had already done really well, and then Thunderball comes out, it just skyrockets.
Yeah.
It's just this crazy thing. Same with like Moonraker. Moonraker was huge. People want to bag on Moonraker because like it was the space one, but it's like, people fucking loved it when it came out. So this movie, yes, like people were excited to see it, and it still has this like crazy ticket sold number as far as like how successful it was by comparison to the to just the Godzilla series. All right, I think we've sufficiently talked about King Kong versus Godzilla. So we should wrap things up here. Terence, where can people find more of you online?
You can find my work at lenoirauteur.net, LENOIRAUTEUR.net, and on Twitter at Terence B. Johnson, Terence with one R.
I am Aaron Neuwirth, the owner, I guess, of thecodeseat.substack.com. Everything I do ends up over there. I am the editor-in-chief at We Live Entertainment. I write movie reviews for that site. I write Criterion and Blu-ray reviews over at whysoblue.com. I co-host the podcast Out Now with Aaron and Dave, my friend Abe. We talk about weekly movie releases and do lots of other fun bonus stuff as well. And I'm on all the socials at Aaron's PS4. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking Mothra versus Godzilla. Is it Mothra? Am I saying it right or am I saying it backwards?
I feel like you might be. I think
I interchange it.
His due.
I interchange it a lot. No, I'm right. It is Mothra versus Godzilla. That's what I thought, because I think the Challenger gets a lot of the first billing in a lot of these. It'll change soon enough. Once Godzilla stops being a villain, basically, it'll change to Godzilla versus everybody. But yeah, Mothra versus Godzilla, that's next. I'm excited for you to see that film. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. So this has been Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla.
Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla is an independent podcast. This show is produced, edited, and distributed by Aaron Neuwirth and Terence Johnson. Theme music is sampled from Feral Munch. Please rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Feel free to email us at blackguystalkgodzilla@gmail.com and follow us on all the socials at BLK Godzilla Talk on Twitter and Blue Sky and at Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla on Facebook and Instagram. And if you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so wherever you download your podcast so you can keep listening to Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla.